Iran prepared for a possibility of a US attack on Kharg Island, reinforcing the strategic oil hub with heightened alertness and contingency plans to defend critical energy infrastructure against any imminent strike. Tehran moved to strengthen defenses around the key oil facility amid fears of an American operation, mobilizing military units and accelerating protective measures to ensure the island's oil export capacity could be guarded under pressure. Troops, surface-to-surface missiles, and naval mines were reportedly deployed along Kharg Island's beaches and approaches, a layered defensive posture intended to complicate any seaborne or aerial attempt to seize or damage the facilities. While President Trump declared a diplomatic deal with Iran, Mojtaba and other Iranian leaders continued to brace for possible US assaults, maintaining a posture that combined public outreach with visible preparations for escalation. Iran spent months preparing for a potential US attack on Kharg Island, according to CNN, a period of sustained fortification during which Tehran moved forces and material to strengthen the island's defenses against any imminent operation. Iran reinforced Kharg Island with additional troops, layered air defense systems, and mobile missile units, measures intended to deter or defeat amphibious or aerial assaults and to protect critical export infrastructure from damage. Anti-personnel and anti-armor mines were deployed along beaches where US forces might attempt to land, a precaution designed to slow invading units, channel movement into kill zones, and raise the costs of any seaborne assault. Kharg Island is one of Iran's most strategic energy hubs and a critical node for its oil exports, hosting terminals and storage facilities whose disruption will have immediate and severe effects on Tehran's ability to sell and move crude. Taking control of the island would sever a key economic lifeline for the IRGC, the BBC reports, depriving the organization of oil revenues and complicating Tehran's capacity to fund proxy networks and military operations abroad. Security analysts quoted by the BBC argue that Iran's overall ability to conduct sustained war would be significantly hampered if Kharg were neutralized, since the loss of export infrastructure would undermine logistics, revenues, and strategic flexibility. The island could also serve as a forward platform for US forces to launch strikes or exert influence across the Strait of Hormuz, giving any occupying power operational reach to interdict shipping or target Iranian facilities. Seizing Kharg would offer the United States leverage to pressure Iran into keeping the Strait of Hormuz open, a strategic choke point whose security is vital to global energy flows and regional stability. Remember that after a US attack on February 28, Iran effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz for a period, a dramatic move that disrupted maritime traffic and underscored how control of choke points can produce outsized economic shock. In response to the closure, the United States imposed its own naval blockade that severely curtailed commercial shipping, a tit-for-tat escalation that alarmed energy markets and international shippers. The Strait of Hormuz supplies roughly one-fifth of global gas and LNG flows, and its partial or full closure sent shockwaves through energy markets, driving prices and geopolitical anxiety higher. Meanwhile, US planners reportedly came very close to authorizing fresh lethal strikes on Iranian targets, a proximity to direct action that intensified regional tensions and prompted urgent diplomatic outreach to avert a wider conflagration. As the Iran conflict entered its final stage, reports claimed the United States was only about 3 hours away from launching a new round of military strikes. US military forces were reportedly stopped from firing missiles after Donald Trump announced that a deal had already been reached. At the time, American forces had already received formal orders to carry out strike operations later that same evening. According to reports by NBC News, operational planning for the strikes had reached its final preparation stages. The US Navy had also reportedly adjusted air operations and prepared munitions as part of an approved strike package. Officials described the entire operation as being in its final phase before it was suddenly and unexpectedly called off. Kharg Island was reportedly not included on the approved target list, despite earlier reporting suggesting it had been considered in preliminary discussions around potential strike options. Donald Trump had previously referenced Kharg Island and Iranian oil infrastructure in public warnings, linking them to broader threats and signaling they could be part of possible military responses. Officials further said that Trump's public posts did not fully align with the internal operational planning that was already underway. Military forces were reportedly most surprised by the last-minute cancellation order, according to officials cited in the report, as it came after preparations had already reached an advanced stage. U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth and the Joint Chiefs Chairman reportedly visited the White House to discuss Iran-related military options with Trump prior to the final decision. Trump then reportedly posted about canceling the strikes shortly after that high-level meeting, according to officials familiar with the situation. President Trump says a breakthrough in US-Iran negotiations may be closer than ever, with a possible agreement expected within days. Speaking at the White House, Trump revealed that key documents are being finalized as negotiators work toward a formal deal. Trump insisted that both sides are eager to reach an understanding, describing the current momentum as highly encouraging.
Mr. President, on Iran, how confident are you that there will be a signing this weekend? Because you have come close to sealing a deal, but at the last minute it has fallen apart. And
it'll be soon, maybe this weekend.
And has the Supreme Leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
And when this deal is signed, is the United States going to immediately lift the blockade?
Yes, that's true. That's part of the deal.
And
you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
But has Iran committed to not pursuing a nuclear weapon, or will there be more negotiations on that down the line?
They will not have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that. There will be no, which is the whole reason, which is a big part of the reason.
Is that going to be in your agreement, sir?
They will not only not have, they will not purchase, develop in any way, any shape, in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. They will not have a nuclear weapon.
But it's just the concept of that agreement when it comes to nuclear. You said this was just the concept of that agreement. So is this just essentially setting the stage for deeper talks on nuclear?
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding. That is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done. And if it doesn't get done for any reason, which I can't imagine that not happening, they want to sign it as much as I do or more. I would say they want to sign it more, maybe a lot more. But it's a very detailed memorandum of understanding, also agreed to by many other countries that have great influence over them, and everybody wants it done. So it's going to get done.
Mr. President, is there a specific amount of time that has to pass between this memorandum of understanding and a final deal being done?
Well, we hope it's going to go relatively quickly, but it's...
Is there a 60 or 90
I mean, the straits are going to open immediately. It's upon signing. Maybe it'll be Saturday or Monday.
Or is there a deadline, though, to get from this to a final deal?
We think it's going to go pretty quickly. I don't want to say a deadline, because if I say a deadline, you'll say, oh, he didn't meet the deadline. You know, this is like, it's not going to matter much, because it's going to get signed.
Qatar's leadership has remained actively involved in mediation efforts, holding direct talks with Trump on the proposed agreement. According to Qatar, the framework emerging from negotiations has received broad backing from the key stakeholders involved. Doha praised ongoing diplomatic efforts, expressing hope that a deal could help bring stability back to the region. Diplomatic sources say negotiators made significant progress, narrowing several of the key gaps that had stalled talks for months. The latest negotiations reportedly centered on the release of frozen Iranian funds, maritime security in Hormuz, and the future of nuclear discussions. Officials familiar with the talks say Qatar's mediation helped produce an agreement in principle, raising hopes of a broader breakthrough. Qatar Emir's office statement read, and I quote, "During the call, the two leaders discussed the close strategic relations between the two countries and ways to support and enhance them in addition to the latest regional and international developments, particularly those related to diplomatic efforts for de-escalation in the region," unquote. Despite progress in negotiations, reports suggest the proposed agreement cannot move forward without final approval from Iran's highest leadership. Sources say Iran's leadership is carefully reviewing the terms of the understanding before deciding whether to formally endorse the deal.